Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the first session of Principles of Faith. I'm really excited to kick this off with you, and may Allah accept this little from us and let us journey towards Him as a community, as friends, as brothers and sisters, and as believers, inshallah. Now, as I said, you don't need to have read the book. If you have, you probably won't need this summary, but if you just want to go on the journey with us without reading, hey, you're welcome along the ride. So this is looking at session 1. And inshallah, here we go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum wa la'ana a'da'ahum. At some point in our lives, be you a Muslim, be you not a Muslim, whoever you are on this earth, many of us experience this moment where we ask the question, what's the point? What's the purpose? What am I doing here? You could have everything in the world, right? And we hear it, millionaires, billionaires, whatever you want to call them. At some point, they kind of have this moment where they stop and they think and they reflect. Where am I going? What's the whole point of this? And COVID was, it's a hilarious, in a way, like natural experiment for many people to experience this. And I'm sure you found colleagues at work or at university, I certainly did, where you saw people that maybe never would have thought these questions because they haven't ever been brought up in an environment to ask these questions. But they were kind of stuck at home and just reflecting and being like, what am I doing here? And suddenly we saw this seismic shift in the world of people starting to think more, reflect more. And it was incredible to see some of the outcomes. So in this first session, what Ayatollah Naser tries to get us to think about is, look, why do we all at some point in our lives end up thinking or studying in order to know and understand the creator of the universe? Now, whether you've decided who or what that creator is a separate point, but why is it so many of us, and if not all of us in this world that have been created, at some point have this moment where we think about this creation, about how it came about? So this will be a very basic introduction into us thinking about God's existence. Why do we go about doing it? And he uses 3 amazing examples that we'll go through. Firstly, within all of us, there's a love to be well informed and to understand the world. We're just naturally curious as human beings. We all deep down want to know how these beautiful trees or animals or these oceans all came into existence. Was it spontaneous or was it by a skillful creator? And this sparks other questions too, right? Where have we come from? Where are we now? Where are we going? And the scary thing is if we were to ask ourselves really honestly, and even around the dinner table with our family or friends, how many of us that have been brought up in this faith actually know the answers to these basic questions about this life that we're in? Honestly, would we get, if there was like a question with 3 marks, where have we come from? Where are we now? Where are we going? How would we fare? Could we actually write a sentence for each of these? This question resonates with a lot of us, especially when you have that time out. And for me, it's when we go to Oman. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. You haven't gone, you have to go. And you kind of just sat there and you see the waves in front of you and there's no one else on this stretch of beach and there's no sounds to be heard except this creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you just think, and it gives you that time and that space rather than the London Underground, hitting your ears as each single track you go over kind of just makes another screech. You can't really think that way, right? But when you manage to get away or find a zone, you're able to think and reflect. Our souls are inquisitive. They want to find out these answers. They want proper solutions. So as we said, within all of us, there is this love to be well informed. And let's use an example to substantiate this. Let's say, and may Allah protect us all, let's say you were in a car accident. A serious car accident, head-on collision. You're injured, you're unconscious, you're taken to hospital, and in fact you end up in a coma. Your family are worried. And you've been in there, let's say 3, 6, 12 months. You're in hospital, and your mother is by your side, holding your hand. In one hand she has your hand, in the other she's holding a sibha, doing the tasbih. And after some point you regain consciousness, you wake up. And as your eyes open and you see your mother there in front of you praying for you, what do you imagine your first questions to be in that moment? I mean, it certainly won't be something like, what's for dinner? You'd hope. But perhaps it's going to be something more along the lines of, what happened? Why am I here? When do I get out? And those very same questions, they resonate with us in our life. We're mysterious about this world in the very same way. The first thing that will lead us towards the recognition of the God of the universe in our existence is our inquisitive soul, which always wants to know and understand more. We're curious. And when we emerge from the coma, we ask those questions. But whilst we've been in this life, how many times have we stopped to say, what happened? Why am I here? When do I get out? How did I get here? What's going on? Our soul wants to ask these questions. But it's the distractions that we face day in, day out that prevent us from thinking about it. The moment you get 30 seconds into thinking about it, an Instagram notification pops up, or a WhatsApp comes up, and that's it. Our focus is broken. So the first example, this car accident, in the coma, we're naturally curious. We want to be well informed. It's just within us. It's the way we're built. A second example for us to look at and think about this question of why do we think and study in order to know and understand the creator of the universe. A second thing that we look at is this inner sense of gratitude. The first we just mentioned is that we're inquisitive. The second is the sense of gratitude. So let's take another example. Suppose that a friend of yours has said, hey, you know what, it's Miladun Nabi coming up, and my friends invited me to go for, a Milad celebration at their place. How about you come with me? Now, you don't know your friend's friend, but your friend said, hey, don't worry, just come. You'll be able to come. So you go there, and there's this huge banquet laid out, right? There's some du'as and there's some anashid, etc. But there's a huge banquet laid out afterwards, and then, of course, you're eating, right? You've got chela kebab on one side, you've got biryani on the other, dessert comes out, you've got faluda and baklava and chai and coffee and whatever, everything sorted, and you are loving it. Now, of course, in those moments, unfortunately, at some point you have to leave, and at this point, it would be weird, it would be rude, and no human inside of themselves would want to leave without saying, actually, you know what, who's the host, and let me make sure I go and thank them. You want to go and identify the host that has laid out this banquet for you and show some thanks for inviting you. In the same way that you would do that in the context of this Milad celebration, the same can be applied to life. When we look at the expansive table of sustenance that has been put before us, the fact that we can see, the fact that we can hear, the fact that we can taste, the fact that we can think, the fact that we can spiritually connect with something, we become anxious to recognize who the host of this banquet is, who the creator and the distributor of this is, so I can go and express my gratitude, even if that being doesn't need it. Inside of me, I feel compelled to go and do this, and we're restless until we manage to express this appreciation, and this restlessness on our part is an indication of our desire to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if you like, our host, our creator. And interestingly, let's say I was the host of this banquet, and you were to come to me, and eventually you find out who I am, and you bring me a gift. Now, I'm a big Watford fan, right? And Watford hate this football club called Luton Town. So if you bring me a Luton Town shirt, I'll be like, what on earth? You don't thank me through this way, right? Not at all. So in order to thank correctly, you need to go and understand who that person is, who that host is. Otherwise, you'll thank them in the wrong way. And in the same way, if you then manage to identify that Allah is the creator of this banquet and the host of this banquet of this life that we're in, you don't just thank him in your way. You thank him in the way that he wants to be thanked, which in itself is a blessing for us because we benefit from it, such as the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third example for us to reflect on. So the first one that we mentioned was we're curious, we always want to know more. The second, we have the sense of gratitude. The third is that we must analyze the benefit and loss in any context that we find ourselves in. So again, what are we trying to think about? We're trying to think about, why do we think and study in order to know and understand the creator of the universe? Why does this moment in our life happen? On the one hand, we said we want to know more. On the second, there's a sense of gratitude. And the third, there's this thing within us that wants to make sure we understand every context that we're in. Let's take another example. Let's say you're in Afghanistan, and just a few months ago we heard that crazy takeover of the enemies of Allah happened. So you get your family in the car, like, come on, let's go. You know that this group are behind you, they're coming to invade your village. You're like, we have to go. You're driving north as fast as you can. And as you're driving north, eventually you see to your left, a bomb go off. In front of you, a bomb go off. To your right, a bomb go off. And now you're like, whoa, what do I do in this moment? No logical person in this moment would just drive aimlessly without thinking. A logical, smart individual engaging with their intellect would stop, get out of the car, assess the danger, speak to a few people if they're there, say, hey, what's going on? Which way should I go? You take advice, you listen to radio stations to hear the news, what's happening. And after all of that, you make an informed decision. You think, which course of action is safest to guarantee my family's prosperity, welfare, safety, and convenience? You wouldn't just continue in any direction without any deliberation or thought. You wouldn't just stay at that dangerous junction for too long without making any decision and without moving. Wisdom dictates us to study the situation, adopt the best course of action. And in the same way in this life, we're hurtling forward at speed. Allah warns us in the Quran that you as man, you're at a loss when it comes to time. We're going, we're in the rat race, we're going to work every day, whatever, we're chasing. But at what point have we stopped and looked around and said, hold on, which direction am I to go in? Who have I spoken to? Who have I sought advice from? Have I analysed the situation of the direction I'm going in, and why am I going in that direction? In the context of fleeing Afghanistan, there were bombs going off everywhere. In the context of our life, there are different schools of thoughts everywhere. Nay, there are even completely different ideologies and worldviews around us. Nay, there are even worldviews that counter our very worldviews. You've got to stop, you've got to wait, you've got to think, you've got to reflect, you've got to ask, you've got to study. Everything in our destiny, in our prosperity, in our progress or lack of it depends on the way that we choose in that moment. So we've got to work hard to find out the correct solution. It's not an excuse for us just to say, I'll just go with it and see what happens. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Zumar, Surah number 39, verse 17, فَبَشِّرْ عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلِ فَيَّتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ. Those who listen to the word, then follow the best of it. We listen, we analyze, we make the right choices. So to conclude this first session that we have, inshallah, why do we think and study in order to know and understand the creator of the universe? Why is it in our life we have these random moments where we kind of go, hold on, what am I trying to get at here? What's going on? And it happens to, if not all humans, the vast majority of us, we have this moment that just makes us reflect for a few moments. And our first reaction to this is through three angles. Firstly, within all of us, there is a love to be well informed and to understand the world. The hospital, car accident, coma example. The second is this sense of gratitude, the dinner and host example. And the third is that we must analyse the benefit and loss in every context that we're in. The example of reaching a junction where there's turmoil around us. So inshallah, these are some initial things for us to reflect on, to think about, to try and take a moment to maybe put our phone on airplane mode for 4 minutes just to let ourselves think, then we can go back to the hustle bustle of the world. But hopefully it makes us realise that it's not just by chance that we suddenly all, at some point in our life, at many points in our life in fact, stop and think. It's within us. We've been designed this way, we've been fashioned this way by our Creator. Because we want to be well informed, we want to go say thank you, and it's normal for us to go and analyse any situation that we're in so we can find the best conclusion from it. I look forward to joining you in the second session, inshallah. I hope this first one was useful, and if there's any value in this, then please pray for Ayatollah Naser Makarem Shirazi, for this is all of his content. Any mistakes are from me, so I ask you for your forgiveness and to let me know if any have come up, so I can solve them and inshallah remember one another and of course our awaited Saviour in your prayers. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.